If you're reading this, then I'm probably already dead. I hope it was quick and relatively painless. This journal covers my journey, my life in the Wasteland, what I see, what I did, and who I've become. My name is Ethan Durante, and I was a vault dweller from Vault 76. I was born in Charleston, but I don't remember much before the world ended. When the bombs went off, chaos swallowed everything. My mom was a doctor. She didn't make it into the vault. She stayed behind to help, saving lives as the bombs fell. She was selfless to a fault. My father, the local sheriff, took us to the vault. He carried the weight of leaving my mom for the rest of his days. Life in Vault 76 wasn't exactly smooth sailing for me. My older brother Brent made sure of that. He was bigger, stronger, and had a mean streak. He would call me names, shove me around, and tell me that I was weak and wouldn't survive on the surface. Maybe that's why I buried myself in books and puzzles. If I couldn't beat him with strength, I'd outsmart him. Turns out, I'm pretty good at noticing things others missed. Dad did his best to keep us in line, but his heart wasn't in it after Mom. He was a good man, tough but fair, always trying to do right by others. A year before the vault opened, though, he had a heart attack. I was 26, and just like that, it was up to me to figure out how to stand on my own 2 feet. Brent didn't exactly step up to fill the void. He was too busy living for himself. When Reclamation Day finally came, before stepping out of the vault, I snuck into the overseer's office. She had become something like a mother to me, and I wanted to say one last goodbye. Once inside, I read her terminal and learned she had a new mission: to track down and secure missile silos across Appalachia. Those silos are relics of a world that destroyed itself, and if we don't keep them under control, we are destined to do it again. I figure my smarts and sharp eyes can help her. I'm not much of a fighter, but I know how to read a situation, spot patterns, and make connections that others miss. If helping her means we can build something better out of this mess, then maybe, just maybe, I can do right by the memory of my parents. Maybe I can even prove Brent wrong about me. October 23rd, 2102. Not sure where to start this thing, so let's start at the beginning. When I first stepped outside. When my eyes finally adjusted to the bright sunlight, I couldn't believe what I saw. Pictures just don't do it justice. Brent used to talk about the world outside, but nothing could prepare me for the real thing. Looking out over the hills, I saw trees as far as the eyes can see, and a vast, bright blue sky. I can see why Brent hated the vault so much. If I remembered how beautiful it was outside, I would hate it too. Once I stopped gawking, I came across a Mr. Handy hovering nearby. It told me that the overseer was long gone, but that 2 ladies were standing nearby and were possibly up to no good. Not wanting to waste a chance to learn more about the overseer's whereabouts, I went to ask them questions. Not gonna lie, I was terrified.
Wait, so did you come out of that vault? We both presumed it was empty. The door's not still open, is it?
It's probably empty by now. I doubt anyone's still in there.
Son of a bitch, we missed our chance. We really needed that. We got a tip from the Wayward. Heard of the place? New bar down the road. So this guy told us that...
After you gave him the last of our caps?
And he said that inside that vault is the... You know, that's where the big one is. Our last chance to turn our lousy luck around.
The big one? What are you talking about?
You know, the thing that brought everyone back. The treasure.
I think you may have gotten some bad information.
But...
I told you, Lacey. The guy was scamming us.
But... those were the last of our caps. No. Someone has to know something. We're just gonna stick it out until we find them.
Wonderful.
Thanks for answering some questions for us, I suppose. Seems only fair I return the favor. Anything we can answer for you?
Did you see another vault dweller go by? An overseer?
If your overseer crossed our path, she sure wasn't broadcasting it. Sorry. You might ask at the Wayward. Seems like they set themselves up to be a natural stopping point.
I better get going. Thanks for the information.
Watch yourself out there.
The 2 ladies directed me to the Wayward. It was better than nothing. Sure enough, I found a sign near the vault doors about this Wayward place, on Route 88. Before I headed out, I decided to look around for anything useful I could take with me. I didn't even have a weapon, after all. And that's when I stumbled upon my first dead body. She was sprawled on her back, leaning against a railing. She'd been there a while, that much was obvious. Her face was, well, there wasn't much left of it. Just leathery skin and hollowed out sockets. I felt my stomach turn, and my knees went weak. It felt wrong. Seeing her like that, like she'd just been forgotten. But then I noticed something. There, under her torso, just barely visible, was a pistol. I froze, torn between disgust and the gnawing voice of practicality in the back of my mind. A weapon like that out here could mean the difference between living or not. I stepped closer, careful not to disturb her more than I had to. My hands shook as I crouched down. I couldn't look at her face, so I focused on the task, just grabbed the gun. When I moved her slightly to free it, something shifted in her pocket. I found a few bullets. As I pulled them out, I felt like the worst kind of person. Here I was, taking from someone who couldn't even defend themselves anymore. A part of me wanted to leave it all there, walk away. But the truth is, out here, survival doesn't leave much room for sentiment. I muttered a quiet apology, barely louder than a breath, and took the gun and the ammo. I wonder if that'll be me someday. Just another body out there, forgotten, with someone like me coming along to take what's left. Before leaving her behind, I noticed the symbol on her jumpsuit. A crest with a heart and monitor on it. Not sure what it represents, but I wanted to write it down for future use. Now armed, I turned to continue my journey, only to find myself in the presence of what I can only describe as monsters. They looked human, sort of, but their skin was peeled and blistered. Their eyes were black and unfocused, but the way they moved, jerky, twitching, it was like nothing human was left inside. I froze, thinking if I stayed quiet, they wouldn't notice me. Not wanting to try out my new gun just yet, I tried to sneak around the bus and away from the lumbering creatures. As I crept slowly along the side of the old vehicle, one of them turned the corner and spotted me. In an instant, it charged at me with a low, guttural growl, hitting me with a solid swing. Instinct took over. I pulled the pistol, the one I'd taken from the corpse not long ago, and fired. I unloaded a few shots into it, making it stumble back. This only led the other monsters to attack. I was in a fight for my life now. When it was finally still, I stood there, the gun heavy in my grip. Up close, I could see more. Its cracked, weeping skin looked like it had been burned from the inside out. I couldn't stop thinking about how much it must have hurt to become this. It had been a person once. How long had it roamed, driven by hunger and rage? Was there any part of them left inside, screaming to get out? I felt sick, knowing it wasn't the last time I'd face something like this. Not wanting to deal with more of these walking corpses, I hit the road, heading down Route 88. Along the way, I noticed a small farm. It seemed quiet at first, but then I saw movement and heard gunshots. On the porch of the farmhouse, I saw what looked like a person with a weapon, staring right at me with unblinking eyes. Between us stood an ashy husk of a person with glowing green crystals coming out of its body. We danced for a few seconds before it attacked. In an instant, one enemy turned into 2, 3, 4. I was in my first gunfight with what seemed like a person, but they seemed wrong. During this fight, I noticed that my little pistol wouldn't cut it at long distances. If I wanted to keep my enemies as far away as possible while keeping myself safe, I needed a rifle. Once the gunfire stopped for a moment, I approached to see what I had killed. I just stood there staring at it. Up close, I could see how warped it was. It wasn't like the feral ghouls. This thing still moved like it knew what it was doing, but there was nothing left behind those glowing eyes. While seeking cover in the old barn, I found another husk of a person, frozen in time and reaching towards me, as if it was reaching for help. Under its ashy black skin was a slight green glow. As I approached it to get a better look, it fell apart before me. I jumped back instinctively to avoid coming in contact with the dust. My Pip-Boy clicked, showing that these husks were irradiated. With all of the enemies outside taken care of, I decided to check for supplies in the house. The human-like creatures I had fought outside were moving around on the top floor, and were speaking. I didn't have time to give much thought to that as I climbed the stairs and caught them by surprise, putting them down before they put me down. I was finally in a safe place to look them over more carefully. They had the same green crystal-like growths coming out of their skin, which was red and leathery as if it was burned. Like the ghouls, they wore clothing, indicating that they were once human. A chill ran down my spine as I tried to wrap my brain around how they turned into these things. I pushed these thoughts aside as my eyes landed on a note. It spoke of two groups, the Responders and the Brotherhood of Steel, as well as someone named Abby from the Free States. I tucked the note in here for safekeeping. As the sounds of the fight stopped ringing in my ears, I decided it was time to leave. The sun was setting and this farm was no safe haven. I finally reached the Wayward as the sun sank below the horizon. It was cobbled together from trailers and was situated on the bed of a rancid river. There was a small farm growing on one side, and a pen holding several two-headed cows on the other, along with a sentry bot painted like a cow. The robot seemed as harmless as the cows were. For a moment, I was fascinated by the animals. Radiation was a hell of a thing, but after seeing what it did to humans, adding a second head to a cow didn't seem too bad. Once I got my fill of the animals, I headed inside to finally get some answers. Or so I hoped.
Lady, I will paint the walls with you if you don't tell me where Crane's treasure is right now!
Sweetheart, I think you must be sick, because pointing a gun at me in my own bar is a terminal affliction. Look around. You think I'm having my people piece this place together out of mobile homes because I'm thrifty? Do I look like I know where this treasure is?
Shut up! You got 10 seconds to tell me where Crane is! 10,
Don't do this, son.
9, 8,
Fine.
7,
Suit yourself.
6,
Mort,
5,
busy doll?
4, 3, 2... What? Mort?
Thank you, Mort.
Of course, Duchess.
Now I'm hoping you're here to have a drink and play nice. I've had a gun pointed at me more than enough for one day. Well, not exactly the introduction to the Wayward I would have hoped for. Well, sorry about that, darling. First round's on me. Name's Duchess. There's something I could do for you.
What was that all about? Did he say something about a treasure? This is the second time I've heard about it.
Your guess is as good as mine, sweetheart. He busted in here saying I needed to turn over the location of some fella named Crane, who I guess I must have served at some point or another. Since then, a steady stream of miscreants has been making my life irritating. Not exactly good for a budding business.
I'm actually looking for the overseer of Vault 76. Have you seen her?
Overseer, huh? So you must be the one. No, I haven't seen her, but I have heard her. My people found a tape she left behind for one of her dwellers at that camp across the way, though it is a bit out of date now. Maybe you're the one she left it for. I'm happy to hand it over. Though, now that we've drifted naturally onto the topic of helping one another, maybe there's something you could do for me in return.
Let me guess. You're looking for help dealing with those thugs?
Now that you mention it, I could use an extra pair of hands. See? That boy we put down? He's not the first of his crew to roll in here. But I want him to be the last. Normally, I'd send my people out to clean house. But my muscles run off, so I don't have the bodies to spare right now. But I'm willing to pay good money if you put an end to this for me. So, what do you say?
Yeah, I'm gonna need to hear this plan of yours before I agree.
Only seems fair. The details, then. Now, each of these boys came in asking after Crane. I'm thinking we can make that work for us. How would you grab the attention of a bunch of single-minded thugs?
I don't know, a big old sign maybe?
Bingo. Exactly what I'm thinking. Just give me 1 second. Okay, I think I'll just... I just want you to know, architecture ain't exactly my forte. Huh, not half bad. So what I've chicken scratched together here for you is the schematic for one custom-made Crane Treasure Hunting Inc. sign. If I didn't butcher the plans too bad, it's got a little system built in that'll make sending out an advertisement and getting this gang's attention a snap. You just need to build it, use the tape it spits out to tell the world you're open for business, and then convince any punks that show up to tell you where their boss is hiding. They did teach you all how to build from schematics up in that vault of yours, didn't they?
I mean, I was joking about the sign, but sure, I can build it.
That's the spirit.
Hey, if you need a refresher, good old Morty Mort can help you out.
What are you on about, Mordecai?
Hey, nah, I'm not bragging or anything, but I've got some tapes that cover that very subject.
Oh, Mort, not the tapes. Well, you find yourself wanting a refresher? Talk to Mort. Of course, you're gonna need materials, but we should have enough lying around to cover you there. Get you together a little care package. Throw some rations in there, too, so you don't starve on me. And so you know, you might have to break some of this scrap down for parts. But I can spot you some workbench materials, too, since you're doing me such a big one. Who knows? Maybe you'll learn something while you do it. Now, you ready to get this show on the road?
All right, I guess I'm in.
Hot dog. Be good to have those dolts off our back at long last. Just make sure, once you find out where they're hiding, that their leader gets the message. The wayward gets left alone. And here, that overseer tape. Sounds like she set up that camp across the way so her people could get some practice in self-reliance. Probably worth looking into if you think you could use a refresher.
There was something about Duchess that I didn't trust. Seems like she had a way with words and knew how to use people to get what she wanted. And Mort? Well, he looked like one of those monsters I killed back by Vault 76, but he was talking and moving like a normal person. He called himself a ghoul and said that he was outside when the bombs dropped. That much exposure to radiation turned him into what he is today. He said that he could walk through areas of high radiation without being affected by it, but it made him hard to look at. Still, he seemed like a nice guy. I guess it's something I have to get used to out here. With the Overseer's holotape in hand, I decided to spend the night at the camp she had set up. I headed across the road and found workbenches, a cooking stove, and a spot to sleep. This would do for tonight. I decided to listen to the tape while I got settled in for the night.
Overseer's log, south of Vault 76. I knew this wasn't going to be the Appalachia I remembered, but... mutated animals? Haywire bots? No people so far. We have to be ready to rebuild in... what I can confirm is... hostile territory. Fortunately, Vault Tech was prepared. You see this? The cooking station, the stash box, the workbenches, all built with the camp. You need a home base out there. The construction and assembly mobile platform is designed to give you one. I've left my camp behind so you can use it. I need to make sure every resident of 76 has a safe haven they can start from. I'll make do without it. If it's still standing, the town of Flatwoods is further down this road. Find me there. This is the Overseer, signing off.
And now, I'm sitting here by the fire, staring up at the night sky and I can't bring myself to look away. The stars are everywhere, scattered across the darkness like they were spilled by accident. They're so bright, it's hard to believe they've been up there this whole time, shining over a world that's falling apart. The vault never prepared me for this. I mean, we had images of stars in books, and the simulated sky in the atrium tried to mimic them. But it's not the same. Not even close. Out here, they feel alive. They shimmer and pulse. And every now and then, one streaks across the sky, disappearing just as quickly as it came. They're a reminder that even after the world burned, some things didn't change. I wonder if Mom ever stopped to look at the stars during those final days before the bombs fell. Did she see the same constellations I'm looking at now? Did they give her even a moment of peace before she died? I don't know what tomorrow will bring. For now, it's just me and the stars. The world may be falling apart, but the stars, they are still here, untouched by the bombs and radiation. Maybe there's some kind of hope in that.